Okay, I'm going to show you a few different methods of hemming. So, there is, this is a double fold hem. So it's called double fold hem because it's folded twice. So you first press it over however much you put in your pattern. So this is about 1 centimeter. And then again, this particular one, it's about 2 centimeters. So it was, I guess, what's that? Just about 7-8 millimeters, and then another 18. So when you make your pattern, you will of course pattern make that in. Now your options here are to pin stitch neatly along this edge, which will of course result in you being able to see it on the other side. I'm going to also show you another method of getting a hem which works particularly well in a thicker fabric. Sometimes if you have a thick or bulky fabric, you don't want to do a double fold hem, and that is because it would create too much bulk with turning it twice. So in this case, you can use a piece of bias tape to help you. This is narrower bias tape, you can use wider. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to unfold one edge and place my raw edges together. And I'm just going to sew the bias tape, this is the right side of the fabric, onto that edge. I'm sewing just along this fold line. Okay, and then you can press it up like this, and then you would press the hem up to the wrong side like this. I will press it and I will be back to show you some options of finishing this by hand. Okay, so I have my hem pressed up. This is the right side. Press the bias up, and you can see how, if you would this with a thick fabric, you would be reducing the bulk a lot by using this bias tape. I'm now going to show you catch stitch. Catch stitch is used a lot in tailoring. It is used to hand finish hems, and I'll show you why it's a nice stitch to use for that when we're done. So you're going to move from this side to this side, working from this side to this side. So whichever your dominant hand is, you're going to be moving from the other side. So I've got a knot in my thread. I'm just going to start it off. Okay, so I've just started off on the bias only. This is not very visible from the right side. So I'm gonna now go into my fabric and take just a very small amount. This is like 3 threads. If you were using a thick fabric like a wool, you wouldn't even be able to see that because you could just use some surface threads. Now, can you see how I've gone from this side to this side? The stitch has been going this way, and then it kind of makes it loop around like this. Okay, we're going to get like a series of little, I guess, X's. And the next one, I'm just taking just from the bias tape. Okay. Again, I've taken the stitch always going this way. Okay. I'm doing them quite small, maybe smaller than normal. So I should probably do it more of a normal size. Oops. In tailoring, use this stitch to catch tapes down, to catch welted pockets closed, making sure that my thread is out of the way when I take that next stitch. Always keeping it out of the way. If this were embroidery, this would be called herringbone stitch, and sometimes I call it herringbone, honestly, for this. I think technically it's catch stitch, but same, it's really the exact same thing. Oops. Almost done. Okay, now, oopsie. To finish off, this goes for any row of hand stitching. I'm going to take my bite down here. Sorry, these little bits are getting in the way. Take an extra stitch, pull it through until we have this loop, and then I'm going to pass my needle through the loop like that to form a knot. Doing that a couple of times is a good way to secure it. There are other ways, but this is the way that I use. So this is a catch stitched hem. This is the wrong side. This is the right side. So you can see there's just one row of stitching visible, really tiny stitches. That's barely going to be visible if you have a matching thread, or if it's a thick fabric like a wool or something, you won't see that at all. The nice thing about this kind of hem is it allows for a little bit of movement and flexibility like this. So if you're doing it on pants, for example, it will just sit really nicely. Same on the bottom of a jacket or something like that. So this is a stitch that we use a lot. This is that double turned hem that I showed you before. I'm going to use it to demonstrate what I call the invisible stitch. I'm sure it has other names, but I don't know. I just call it invisible stitch. For the double turn hem, of course, you could just pin stitch along here. This is the right side. This is the wrong side. But I'm going to show you how invisible stitch works. It's pretty invisible, not completely invisible. Okay, so I'm going to come in. What I usually do is this works really well when you have one folded edge. So I'm going to come into that kind of tunnel to embed my knot within that. So my knot is buried here. I'm working this direction. So I'm going to take a tiny little bite of fabric directly opposite where I came up. Okay. Oops, needle just came unthreaded. Okay, that took longer than I wanted it to. Okay, so the first step is you took a little bite exactly opposite. Then you're going to pass your needle down this tunnel, a ways. Okay, so it's going through that fold. Okay, you can do that in one step if you get good at it. So you can take your little bite of fabric and then go across down that tunnel and up. Take the little bite, go across down the tunnel. Oops, missed the tunnel. It's really hard doing this on camera. There we go. Okay, I'll try and make sure I hold it in the camera. So, taking my little bite across. I can't look out where to look. There we go. Down the tunnel. So you can see why it's called invisible stitch. You can barely see it on this side. You've got little tiny bites on the other side. and a thread. Okay, I'll finish it off here where I'm going to round. Okay, so I'm going to take my stitch, pass it through the loop. This is what it looks like on the wrong side. This is what it looks like on the right side. Okay, now the difference between that and the catch stitch is that you can see that you don't have as much movement. This holds it more securely, and sometimes that's what you want. So that is the invisible stitch.